Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to chat with Autumn. She's with Thrivent, and she's going to tell you all about that. But I want to start this podcast with the Word. God's Word is so important. And when I think of Thrivent and I think of financial planning and Autumn and everything, this is the only Bible verse that really kind of hit me right away. So I'm going to read out of Luke chapter 14, verses 28 through 29. So it says, but don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. So that was Luke chapter 14, verses 28 through 29. So dear Lord, please be in this conversation as we talk about the purpose and plan that Autumn has felt from you, and she has walked that out. So we're here to encourage other people. So Father, work through this conversation so that we can speak life and truth into other people, and all for your glory, Father. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So what'd you think about that Bible verse, huh? I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I don't know.
There is. I
Yeah.
have loved it myself when I think of many of the financial mistakes I've made through my life. So it's a good one.
I know. So I'm excited for this conversation. So why don't we start off like, why are you in this business, financial advising and stuff, which is extremely important, which we just read in the Bible. Okay, it's super important, but how did you end up there? And, why are you excited about doing this? So go ahead and kick off and let's hear about your why.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me, Leslie. What an
Yeah.
honor to come on and share my story and my journey to being a financial advisor at Thrivent. Gosh, this is not where I thought God would lead me at this point in my life. But I am so glad that I listened to this calling for my life because I absolutely love it. I actually started out as a journalist.
Journalist,
How do I
financial
go from
advisor. I don't know how they connect, but I'm sure they do in some way. I don't know. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, the Lord takes us down all kinds of paths in life, and it's
Wow.
been a crooked one. But yeah, I mean, I started out going to school for journalism, broadcasting.
Okay.
I wanted to be an anchor on ESPN.
Oh, that would be fun. I'm all about that. ESPN, love
Right?
it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's what I went to school for, broadcast
Okay.
journalism. That's what I got my degree in, so not finance. And I started my career as a news producer, and then went over into the corporate realm of video production for 20
Okay.
years after spending just a short stint in the TV business as a TV producer. And so I spent the last 20 years prior to coming to Thrivent as a financial advisor
Wow.
as an executive producer director at a Fortune 50 company doing corporate video. So
Okay.
TV commercials, videos,
Yeah.
executive messaging.
Okay.
But the way that God works, I think that eventually he starts to plant little seeds into what he wants you to, the gifts he gives you. And that's what I
Mhm.
started to learn probably 10, 12 years ago
Okay.
as I just became passionate about finances. My husband and I started to realize that we didn't feel like we were stewarding the money that God had given us
Okay.
well.
Sure.
And that was kind of, unsettling to our soul.
Mhm.
And so we also realized that, gosh, here we were with successful careers and we were earning good money, but we were like, why is it that we don't understand how to manage it? I mean,
Okay.
nobody teaches you this stuff.
Right.
And so that's frustrating to us. And so just learning about our own ways of saving and investing and managing our money
Mhm.
kind of started this journey.
Okay.
So I started listening to podcasts and
Mm.
audiobooks and just became
Yeah.
fired about the topic of personal finance and investing. I had long commutes into work, and so I'd be listening to this stuff, and then my husband and I would get home and we'd compare what we'd been listening to and geek
Okay.
out on finances. When you start learning about
Yeah.
new, then you of course want to go and share it with others. And
Mhm.
that's
Yeah, for sure.
so started telling people what I was learning and eventually decided to go and teach a financial peace university class. That's a Dave Ramsey's
Oh, sure.
financial
I've
So
heard of
through
that. Did
my
you teach
church.
that at your church or where?
Yep,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
through
That's what
my
I've heard of
church.
before. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's mainly facilitated through churches. And I
Sure.
just loved it. I came home from those classes,
Yeah.
talking about money for 2, 3 hours, and I was just so fired up. And I think that that's a really good indication
Right.
of, right, like your passion,
Yeah.
if you come home
Your
just fired
passion.
up.
That's a good
Hmm.
point for sure. Yeah. Where's your passion? Because that's probably the Lord dropped something on your heart. He's like, all right, there you go. I love it.
There
Yes.
it is. And
Yep.
so I just loved it. And then I would come to work and I would tell people about these classes I was teaching. And then I started teaching a women's financial workshop
Oh,
at my corporate campus. And
okay.
then open enrollment time would come around and people would say, you know, what benefits should I sign up for? The Roth 401k or the 401k? So I'd help people with
Yeah.
that. Eventually, Thrivent heard that I was teaching these classes and helping people, reached out and said, do you want to come be a financial advisor? And I thought,
Wow.
no, like I have a journalism degree. Why would you want me
Oh,
to
that's
do that?
funny.
But I think that when it comes down to it, as advisors, we
Yeah.
are there to help guide people with financial decision
Yeah.
making. So it's really, yeah, I like the analytical part of it, but I
Hmm.
actually leave that to other people on my
Okay.
team because that's
Sure.
what they love to
Right.
do. But I love
Yeah.
to meet with people and find out
Yeah.
about their life and their goals and walk alongside them. So
Okay.
it has been quite the journey though, because
Wow.
Thrivent first came to me 5 years ago and
Yeah.
said, do you want to come do this job? And I thought, no, I don't think I'll do that. But I'm good where I am, and felt really settled in my job, and I was good
Yeah.
at my job previously. But the Lord just kept working on me, and eventually I made the leap.
That is so cool. And I hope this encourages other people that you can be in one industry, but if the Lord has dropped something on your heart, listen
Mhm.
to it. So yeah, that testimony is beautiful. I love that. So Thrivent is a Christian organization, right? So obviously you know Jesus. So maybe talk about when did you meet Jesus and how did he change your life?
Yeah, well, I met Jesus from birth. My mother was out, my mom and dad
Oh,
taking us to
okay.
church and Bible study. And always talking about God in our household. But I remember asking Jesus into my heart at a very young age. I was
Wow.
about 3.5, and yet I still remember one night
That's
before
smart.
bed, my mom
Yeah.
praying with me in my green and white and blue bedroom, and asking Jesus into my heart, my mom being bedside when I did that.
Wow, that's
But
cool.
my relationship with Jesus grew as I attended church camps every summer.
Okay. Yeah.
The student ministry, I would go to Covenant Pines in McGregor, Minnesota, and just
Okay.
such a special place. And I
Nice.
remember specifically one of the last days of camp when I was in
Yeah.
junior high, and after chapel, we had an opportunity to go and have quiet time. And it was, of course, by the lake. It was beautiful. And
Mm,
I took my notebook and pen and Bible and sat by the lake. And I just
yeah.
remember feeling closer to Jesus than I ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
Every time I would come home from camp, I would be on just like this huge God high.
Yeah.
Um, it was the best feeling, and I just couldn't wait to get back to camp the following summer. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. That's cool. So how many people were in the
yeah.
camp? Like how big a camp was this?
Oh, pretty big. I mean,
Oh, it's a
several
big one?
hundred students. Yeah,
Okay. So,
for
but it
sure.
really impacted you a lot. So did you
Yeah,
ever veer away? Did you ever
did I
veer away from the Lord, or you pretty much been with the Lord since age 3? I mean, or did you have like me, maybe I kind of turned my back on him for a little while and
yeah.
you know, so did you have a
I
little
would
chunk in there
definitely
like that?
say, yeah, oh yeah, I definitely would say peer pressures of high school
Yeah.
and college. I found myself straying at times, and sin
Yeah.
was more apparent in my life. I would say probably the thing that brought me back
Yeah.
um, into a close relationship with him was when my husband and I were trying to start a family, and
Okay.
had difficulty there. And I just remember feeling so desperate and sad. And if it wasn't
Yeah.
for just surrendering that to the Lord, and he then
Okay.
was faithful to those prayers, and he
Yeah.
blessed us with two beautiful daughters who are now 13 and 16.
Oh, they're still
So
pretty young. Okay, that's awesome. And I love to encourage people with that, saying, you know what, it doesn't matter where you're on your journey with the Lord. If you just met him, or if you met him at age 3, or like me and, a lot of other people, we kind of walked away from him for a while, but we came back, so we're all on different journeys, and that's totally fine. So I want to just encourage people that it
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you are on your journey, God still
absolutely.
loves you and has a purpose for your life. So don't forget that. So yours is an interesting one. Okay, so you started out in the journalism and a lot of video, though. You had a
Yeah.
lot of
Corporate video, yep, and TV
video,
commercials.
but then it's shifted over to working at Thrivent. But was there any obstacles from making that shift? Okay, you had this education over here, but you really felt your calling over here. So to encourage people, again, that's what we want to do, is encourage people. So that transition from what your career was for 20 years to go to the unknown. So was there any obstacles that you really had to overcome? And can you kind of help us with that? Because I'm sure people listening to this are going to come across some obstacles. So anything, encouragements that you can kind of help them and
Oh, yeah.
share what you've learned, and
Oh, for sure. I
go
ran
for it.
into all kinds of obstacles. So you heard me say, it took a few years to answer
Yeah.
that calling. And I think that initially it was like, yeah, this fear of finance, like I didn't go to college for that. I'm not educated in that. And so this doubt of, you're not equipped to go and help people with their money. And by the way, you have made mistakes with your own finances. So how can you go help others? So there was
Mm,
that, certainly. And admittedly, it was really hard to walk away from a career and an income that I had been building towards. As I
okay.
grew my career, my income grew, and that stability and
Yeah.
that lifestyle, I knew I was going to have to take a step back financially, and that was scary. I mean,
Right.
we'd gotten used to a certain lifestyle and we had college to pay for, and then it
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm going to just jump off this financial cliff. So admittedly, the money, the uncertainty going
Yeah.
from a stable salary to a full-time commission job,
Oh,
uh,
it's all commission.
fine.
Okay, 100%. Okay. Wow, that is
So
a big change.
yeah, it really was. And also I think my husband, he has been so supportive, but for a while there, when I first came to him and said, I want to make this big career shift, he was like,
What?
well, why would you do that? Like, your career is going great. You're really
Yeah.
successful. Like, why would you do that? And I just kept saying, like, I don't know. I just feel like God won't let this go. Like, he just is kind of pushing me towards this career pivot and
Yeah.
to go use this knowledge and this passion to help
Yeah.
people. And he was like, well, can't you just continue doing that on the side? Like, in these
Just
free
have two
classes.
jobs. Yeah, there you go. Have two jobs.
Yeah, and yeah, we approach life as a team, and
Okay.
I did not want to go make a major decision like that
Sure.
without 100% his support.
Yeah.
And so it took a little bit for him, a little convincing to him,
Okay.
and eventually the Lord, I think gave him the go tell her to make this happen. And then
Okay.
I really felt like I could make it happen. Well, once I had made the decision and told Thrivent, yep, I'm coming over, I had to start studying for all my licensing. So there's 4 exams
Oh,
to be a
wow.
fully licensed financial advisor. One
Yeah.
is like a life and health, because of course I help people with life insurance,
Okay.
long-term disability insurance, long-term care insurance, and then of course all the securities licensing. So I was
Okay.
studying for all these exams
Yeah.
while I was still working full time so that I could keep my income while I was still studying for these
Okay.
exams.
Yep.
And I reached the point where I had to take and pass the Series 7, which people kind of acknowledge that as, or they compare it to like the bar exam for lawyers. It's a big one, 3-hour, 45-minute exam.
Oh, that's a
Um,
big one. Wow. That's huge.
And you have to get a passing score. If you don't pass,
Yeah.
then you have to wait 30 more days, pay another $300, take the exam, before you can take it again. So
Yeah.
I studied and studied and studied while still full-time working, while still raising my family. I sacrificed a lot of time away from the things I enjoy
Oh,
and family time to be able to study
yeah.
for these exams. And I failed the Series 7 the first time by 5 questions.
But
Devas-
oh,
Devastating. I cried my eyes
Oh,
out.
did you? Oh, and
Oh,
that actually takes a lot of courage for you to even say that on here. So, thank you for being honest because some people, they might like, oh, I don't really want to share that part, but I love that how you encourage other people saying, you know what? If you don't get it the first time, no problem. Get back up, dust yourself off and keep
oh,
going. So that was super
exactly.
important. So thank you for sharing that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the need to share that because
Yes.
just the learnings that I learned,
Yes.
that I gained through that. I
Yeah.
remember telling my recruiter that at Thrivent that was bringing me over that I had failed, and I was embarrassed and I was shameful, and I thought he would be like, "Oh, well, then I guess you're not equipped to be a financial advisor." And he
Yeah.
says to me, "Oh, people fail that all the time. It usually takes 3 times to
Oh,
pass it. And
wow.
there's some people that never pass it."
So
So
he
then they,
encouraged you. Oh, that's good. Okay, yeah, gave you some
yes,
encouragement there.
exactly. So he was like, go back, study the concepts that were
Oh,
taught for you, and come back in 30 days and take it again.
wow.
Oh, okay. Well, that gave me a totally different light because here I just thought, like, okay, I'm a failure. I
Wow.
also had somebody point out to me, and I thought it was such a valuable thing. I'll never
Yeah.
forget it. When I told them that I had to come home and tell my family and my daughters, that I had failed this test, that they were so looking forward to having me be done with
Oh,
so I could be back in the land of the living, right? And
right.
I told them I failed, and they were so shocked. They were like, Mom, you failed? Like what? And I can't really think of other things I've failed at in life, to be honest with you. Like I was
Yeah.
a good student and I failed, so I was successful in my career. So to say that, like, yeah, I failed. But one of my friends said to me, I'm kind of glad that happened to you, Autumn, because it's a great thing for your daughters to see
Oh,
that
okay.
fail in life. And then you can also, like you said, pick yourself back up
Yes.
and try again. Because my daughters are going to fail in life and they need to see their mom
That's
fail and
true.
realize,
Yeah.
like, that's okay.
Yeah, just real
So
life.
I
Yeah.
had my pity party for a couple days. And I was sad and frustrated.
Oh,
And
well,
then
sure.
go back to the library with my books and
Yeah.
start to study again. And then I did
And
pass.
then you did
So,
pass. That is an
and we
amazing story.
celebrated big.
Of course. Yeah, they're like, woo, woo, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. But you had that 30 days in between there where
Mhm.
then you had to pay more money. But yeah,
Yep.
it was probably good for your daughters to go, well, mom isn't perfect, because at
Right.
first they're probably like putting you up on a pedestal. And so
Yep.
it's probably yeah, good for them to know, okay, it's okay. But look at, she got back up and she passed the second time. So that was amazing. Yeah. Learning,
Yeah,
experience for your daughters, I'm
exactly.
sure. That's
I
so
would also say the next obstacle came then when I dove into the career because
okay.
being that I had that now I'm, commission based and I have a
Yeah.
variable income. So it's not a every other week paycheck like I was used to throughout my entire career.
Oh, yeah.
There's been times where there's not very much business has closed. And so my
Oh,
paychecks have been very little. And that has taken a lot of trust to say, okay, God, I need you to provide.
yes.
Like I
Wow.
felt this calling, and
Yeah.
financially now it's starting to feel stressful. And so I've been on my knees many times throughout the start of this
Sure.
journey the last couple of years to say, I trust you. I
Yeah.
don't believe you're taking me this far in this journey just to see me fail. I don't
Yeah.
believe that. I know God is faithful to this. I know that
Yes.
this is where he has led me. But
Yeah.
even still, the enemy just loves to put the fear in me. And
Oh, yeah. The enemy's a loser, though. He's a loser.
oh my gosh. So I just I had there have been many times where I've had to hit my knees and just say, I need you to
Oh,
provide. Please provide for my family and help me.
yeah.
And I trust him wholeheartedly, and he always has.
He's so good. He's so good. So if there was one thing, because it sounds like it was definitely a challenge. So is there like one thing that really helped you to propel to like, okay, I got this, I'm gonna do it? Like, is there one thing you can point to?
Yeah,
Okay, what would
for
that be?
sure. Throughout all of this, one of the reasons it probably took me a while to finally make that leap to come over is that
Yeah.
my dad was diagnosed with cancer
Oh,
back in 2020, just a couple
okay.
months after I first been presented with this opportunity.
Yeah.
career pivot. And so he battled lung cancer for 18 months and
Mm.
passed away in the fall of 2020. And he was very focused and diligent with my mom and dad's finances, and they had a
Oh,
great
okay.
advisor as well.
Yeah.
So prior to his passing, a few months before that, he had me sit down and look at us, show me all about their finances on an Excel spreadsheet, and
Oh, okay.
that I would be able to then help mom. So after dad had
Okay.
passed, my mom moved to Florida, and I had gone
Mm.
down to her the
Okay.
following year. And she was fearful of running out of money.
Mm.
Didn't
Right.
know, like, are we in a good spot
Right.
financially?
Yeah.
And so fortunately, thanks to those conversations I had had with my dad
Yeah.
previously, I was aware of where they were financially. And so I was able to spend a couple days with my mom to really show her, this is how much is coming in, this is how much is
Okay.
you're spending, this is what
Yeah.
your investments look like. And at the end of that visit, she said, I finally feel at peace about our
Wow.
financial picture. And she really hadn't before, because
Okay.
I just let my dad and the financial advisor,
Yeah.
handle it. For 50 years, that was the scenario. But now she
Right.
found herself a widow and having to pay attention to it,
Yeah.
and not knowing, all the inner workings of how it all worked and what the financial picture looked like. So I helped to explain that to her,
Okay.
and she said, is that Thrivent company, are they still calling you? And I was like,
Yeah.
well, they do check in every few months and ask me if I've changed my mind to come and do this job.
Okay.
Said, Autumn, you got to go do that job.
Oh,
You got
wow.
to
So she
go.
encouraged you.
Yeah. She just said, you got to go help people like me.
That's
And
great.
you got to go do that job. So I flew back from Florida, and then just a few weeks later, Thrivent called again and
Yeah.
said, hey, have you changed your mind? Do you want to come over? And I just said, yep, I'm going to do it.
Wow, that is so cool. And I love how this, so we're talking about this too, because some people, when they think about God and ministry and purpose and all that, they think, oh, that's just like in the church. No,
Right.
no, it's not. God is calling everybody to so many different things. And so that's why I really wanted to chat with you, because, and like I said, I read here in Luke chapter 14 how important our stewarding our finances is so important here in Luke 14 that we read, verses 28 through 29. And so, and with your mom, that was a perfect example of how she like really appreciated your guidance, and it's so critical. God doesn't want us in poverty at all, but we
Oh,
do need to be in community so that we can help each other steward our money and everything. So this has been amazing, and I like how you were transparent and really shared your journey, because so many people are
yeah.
like, I don't know if I should do that. I mean, they're just kind of like maybe scared, and it
That
probably
was
was a
there.
little scary for you at times, but I like how you're just like,
It is.
okay, I'm just going to get back up. I'm going to do it. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you and learn more about Thrivent and all that you are doing? So can you maybe help us get a hold of you? How would we do that? Email, website, phone number? I'm not sure what works best for you, but what would that
Yeah,
be?
absolutely. Hopefully you can just include my contact information or
Sure.
something in the podcast. But yeah, I have a website,
Okay.
and so they can go to that. And
Okay.
my email is autumn.shinka at thrivent.com.
Okay.
So autumn, just like the season,
Yeah.
shinka, which is SCHINKA at thrivent.com. And I just love to initially have, just complimentary. We sit
Okay.
down, we just have a conversation over coffee.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
of course, am licensed in 12 states, so I meet with people all the time
12
via Zoom.
states. A lot.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm in the
Wow.
Minneapolis, St. Paul area, but I, of
Okay. Do
course,
you want
have
to list them real quick? The 12 states, or did
my state. Okay, so I've got Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Arizona, California, Florida, North Carolina, Connecticut, Washington, D.C.,
wow.
Texas.
That
Yeah.
is amazing. You got like it's like far reaching. I mean,
Oh, Washington is another one. Washington State. Yeah, it really is far reaching. And it really
wow.
like as new clients approach me and we want to work
Okay.
together, then
Yeah.
I just can add more states
Oh,
to
you
my
can
list.
add. So you can. So if somebody listens to the podcast and they live in the state that you didn't
Yep.
mention, it's still a possibility that, you know, you guys can work together and everything. Oh,
Yep,
that's good to
exactly.
know.
And then I just kind of like add the licensing to my list. And so
Sure.
I'm so glad you started out the podcast with the Bible verse, because it
That was
is
such,
surprising to people that, especially as I dove into scripture
yeah.
to say, like, what does God say about money in the
Mm-hmm.
Bible, in his
Yeah.
word? And it's surprising that over 2,300 times wealth or possessions or money, that topic is mentioned 2,300
That's
times.
a lot. I never did a research, but that many, like
Yes, in
23.
fact, I
That's a
found
lot.
some information that said that it was actually Jesus's most talked about topic.
Really?
He
I had
talked
no
about
idea.
money. He brought it up in 11 of 39 parables. I mean,
Wow.
if he's bringing it up that much, it's
Yeah,
important, right?
that is very important.
No, it's all God's money.
Well, it is God's money for, and I hope people are generous with their money, you know, bless other people. And as you bless people, you
Yes.
will be blessed, because if God can't get money through you, why should he get it to
Right.
you, right? So if he can get the
Yes.
money through you to bless other people, he's going to continually give you money so that you can bless other people in his name. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. There is no greater joy in this life than giving away
giving.
money. And I absolutely love to help people do that. But I
Oh,
will say it's really hard to give without a plan.
right.
If you don't know where your money's going, if you
Yeah,
feel stressed about your money, it's hard to be freely giving with open hands.
yeah. Don't be
So,
clenching. Keep
right?
opening up.
So Thrivent,
Yeah.
while we serve we serve Christians, of
Okay.
course, but we also serve people that are not Christians.
Okay.
And everyone deserves a plan. And
Sure.
so, but we really view money as
Uh-huh.
a tool, not a goal.
Oh,
And
okay.
so in the way I like to think about that is, it's like, okay, you build up this bank account. You know, lots of advisors will
Yeah.
say, like, oh, I'll help you grow your money. Okay, yeah, I can help you do that too, but so what? Like, what do you want this money to be used for? And
Mhm.
money is such a great tool to reach goals, but how fun is it to go and give it away?
It
So
is the best. I
it's the
do enjoy
best.
it. Yeah, yeah, we can go on and on. But yeah, like truly, if God can't get the money through you to bless other people, what's the point? You know,
Exactly.
if you're just going to be huddled over your money and just, counting it and just hoarding it,
Yeah.
that's not a way to live either. So, anyways,
No, there are lots of things in the Bible that said about that.
yeah.
But yeah, and so I guess the last thing I would say too is that my goal when I talk to people about finances is just to bring them clarity and
Okay.
peace of mind. And also, I mentioned at the beginning, like, no one teaches you this stuff.
Right.
And so I love to educate
Oh,
as
okay.
help people. I love to say, like, oh, let's open a Roth IRA. Well, what's a Roth IRA? Like, breaking it down,
Right.
because it's important to understand, how you're saving and investing your money too. But I
Yeah.
just think too that money is such a source of stress. It's actually one of
That's
the number one
very
things
true. That,
people
yes. Yes.
couples, right?
Yeah.
We bring peace of mind around our financial picture and use and steward God's money well. And so that's what I love to help people do.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being on this podcast today. And I will list her website and everything down below in the notes. So please reach out to her, because Autumn has a bunch of amazing wisdom that will help you all. So, all right. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.